In the previous video, we created two content areas within our course. A content area is where you can post files and folders for students to access. To begin to post a file into the course, we're going to want to make sure that our edit mode is set to on. Sometimes when we toggle that off, we accidentally leave it there, but it needs to be set to on. The next step is we want to make sure we're in a content area, so we're going to go ahead on our navigation menu and click on a content area. Once we see the Build Content button, we know we're in the right spot. To add a file into this area, we're going to hover over the Build Content menu and a drop-down menu will appear. This drop-down menu contains many options in order to post content into the course. But posting a file, we only need to focus on the very first two. We have the option of an item and we have the option of a file. Let's go ahead and post a standard file first. So I'm going to hover over File and I'm going to click the option. At the Create File screen, I only need to enter the areas that have the orange asterisk. In this case, it'll be the name and then the actual file. The first step I'm going to do before the name is I'm going to browse my computer to locate the file. This will be browsing your own machine, so the file has to exist on your current computer that you're working on. I see two files here. I'm going to select the sample Word document first. You'll see that the file name gets listed directly below the browse buttons. Now at this point I could copy and paste this name directly into the name field, or I can go ahead and type it. Whenever posting a file, I often find it helpful to include the type of file that it is in the file name. So for example, if this is a Word document, I might want to put MS Word at the end of the file name. Once you've selected the file, and once you've provided a name, we can scroll down to the file options. For the file options, I'm just going to leave the defaults in this case. And then I'm going to come down to standard options. The one standard option that you might find helpful is permit users to view this content. If you don't want students to access this file, you would toggle it over to no. But if you do want them to see the file, you need to keep the option set to yes. You can also enable tracking of this item, so if you ever wanted to go back and see who in your class has clicked on the file, you want to definitely track the number of views. So in this case, I'll toggle this over to yes. Now in the date and time restrictions, I could have this file display after a certain time and then disappear after a certain date. If I do decide to enter a date range, I need to make sure that I keep the permit users to view this content set to yes. If I keep this set at no, and then enter a display date, Blackboard will ignore your date settings. You need to keep this set to yes if you plan on using the date settings. If you just want to post this file with no date settings at all, just leave this area blank. So to recap, all we had to do was browse our computer, add a file name, and if we're not changing any of the options, we just click the Submit button. After we've submitted the file, you'll see the file appear in your course. Now to test whether students can access this file, we can simply click the Edit mode to off. We can see that the content area is visible, and we can also see that the file is visible. To see whether the file works, we can click on it. In this case, it's a Word document, so we'll be prompted to open it. If you ever want to update this file, whether it just be the name or even replace the file entirely, make sure your Edit mode is on. We want to come over to the file, and then hover over the little Options menu that appears to the right of the name. Clicking on that Options menu will provide us the ability to edit that file. By clicking Edit, it'll bring me back to the Edit screen. At this point I could change the name, I could even replace a file by selecting a different file. I'm not going to change this option, so I'm going to go back up and hit Cancel. Now I can continue to post files in my course, but I can also choose a different type of file posting called an item. So if I go over to Build Content, and rather than choose File, I'll choose the option called Item. An item is slightly different than a file in the fact that it will ask for a name and then it gives you the option for a text description. So if your file needs to have a good description other than just a name, an item might be the way you want to go. I'll just put sample file as the name, and I'll put a quick description. After I've entered the name and the description, I'll come down to the attachment section. In an item, you can actually attach more than one file to it. In this case, I'll attach both documents I see here. I'll click Open, quick browse my computer again, and then choose the second file. If I wanted to change the listing or the name of the file, I can do that in the link title area you see here. If I decided that I didn't want one of these attachments, I could come over to Do Not Attach and click the link. When I want these files posted, I just simply scroll down and hit Submit. Remember, you could change the standard options if you needed to. As you can see here, a file has a different display than an item. A file, you simply click the link and the document opens. With an item, you have to click the individual attachments you see along with the title. You also can then view the description of the files. If you need to move these around, it's very similar to the way we move a navigation menu around. We simply click the yellow striped area to the left-hand side of the icon. We can then drag and drop the locations of our files. You can keep adding as many files or items as you need within this area. To add more, just come up to the Build Content menu and choose to either post an item or a file. In the next video, we'll talk about how to post a content folder, which will allow you to organize your content into individual folders.